the League of Women Voters, we created a task force originally called the Racial Justice Task Force. We were very concerned about things that were going on in Amherst and in general. And it became such an important part of some of the league work is that we couldn't stay as a task force. So we became the Racial Justice Committee, which we are now. And during these things, we were trying to think of other than supporting the community working group that was working very hard and very, very, very well on getting us CRES and getting a DEI person and doing things for the community. But we also wanted to do more. So that's when we went into what can we do as a racial justice task force on a regular basis. And we came up with the idea of a series of Zoom links, which is now in the time of Zoom, helpful because people can be other places and still see it, which is good. And that we figured out, how could we name this? And then we thought of a very, very active leader, the person who really led me for the first year I was here, which is why I have no time of my own. And that's Judy Brooks, the late Judy Brooks. So we named the series after her. And she was like a long time educator in this country. A lot of you, I mean, in this country, and yeah, it is in this country too, in this town, and a civic leader and a very active league member. So we asked her family if they would allow us to do that, and they gave us permission. And so that is the name of the series, and it's been a very wonderful one. We've had incredible people on, and Mary Custard, who's just returned from Africa, came on, and she had to hold the fort because our other people were indisposed, but particularly the wonderful woman who is waiting to be introduced now, and that is social worker and musician Jacqueline Wallace. Hopefully she's going to discuss her work for racial justice and equity in Amherst. And as part of it, we are looking at the caring and dedication of this clinical social worker and therapist who served us for over 40 years in this area, which is unbelievably well. And she inspires the community, and I'm definitely one of them, as the director of the Amherst area gospel choir. It brings joy to audiences at church and at community events, and it promotes gospel singing and the advancement of Black gospel music in a spiritual form, and also from an African point of view, as well as an African American. And when you hear them sing, everybody knows, you feel the spirit, you feel the whole thing. But we are interested in you, Ms. Jackie Wallace, for the things that you do and how you feel about those things. So would you like to just introduce yourself as the part of the one that most of us don't get to see personally, as is in your work?
Sure. I'm so glad to see these beautiful faces assembled here. And I've written a series of notes, but perhaps I won't read everything. But I would like to say this is a great month to be presenting anything, seeing as how it is, what is it? Asian, Hawaiian, Pacific Island, South Asian Heritage Month. So a great month. Mm-hmm. We don't know what heritages we have in us anyway. Stuff mixed up in there. So I'm so glad to be presenting during this month. I think the League of Women has a fine heritage of fighting for the inclusivity of women in all walks of the American life. I appreciate the work that you have done. It's gone all the way back, but there has also been other people who have contributed to the experiences of women in America. So I'll say Sojourner Truth, and a shameless plug for the Amherst Area Gospel Choir, which is singing on Sunday, May 26th at the Sojourner Truth statue in Florence, Mass. 2 o'clock. So be there or be square. But I'm going to be there, and we're going to be singing what we usually do.
It's just rub it in. I'm gonna be away. It's the first one I've missed, but it's such a joy. It's to listen to the young people who are awarded the things and give their speeches, and then have the gospel choir too. Oh my goodness,
Yes,
it's
yes,
gonna be wonderful.
great time for everybody to fellowship and commune and make connections. So, but consider these people too. Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Ida B. Wells, Claudette Colvin, Mary McLeod Bethune, Demetria Shabazz, Ruby Bridges, Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm said in 1968, Shirley Chisholm was the only Black woman, of course, and the only woman that year to be inducted into Congress. And she is known for saying, everybody knows this, I'm sure, if you don't have a seat at the table, bring your own
Share.
And that's what these women did. Sometimes they had to, but whatever was needed for the situation, they did. Just like the women here in the League of Women Voters. These women have done that. And notably, Miss Judy Brooks. And my husband wanted to tell y'all that he mentored you, but she also mentored Roger Wallace when he came, helped him to navigate some of the areas that were a little different. You needed strategies in order to get to your goals accomplished. And she taught how to do that. So be a speaker for her is a real blessing for me. So I'm glad to embrace that heritage. These days, I focus on 4 activities that I think promote social justice in different areas using varying techniques. These areas are family, and they're tired of hearing me about it, but they will hear, or at least it will be said. I hope they hear. The Amherst Area Gospel Choir, my work as a clinical social worker, and the last but infused through everything is based on principles that come from following a dark-skinned person from the Middle East. I don't do white Jesus or Christian nationalism because those never existed. In terms of family and choir, I'm going to put those all together because they segue. I was born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, me and Bill Clinton. I had 6 other siblings that survived. You see 2 of them here today. Oh, I love my siblings so much. That's so sad. I lived part-time with my grandmother and grandfather in Crossett, Arkansas. It's everything you could imagine. We had a singing family. All the parts that were needed for the Hallelujah chorus, my mom played the piano and didn't mind going over a part 25 times, which most folks in the choir regret. But we really were good singers. There was a group of us, the 3 sisters, who sang Lemon Tree. I still remember that. Lemon tree, very pretty. It was lovely. It was lovely to be around them. But they all said to me, oh no, you're too young. You can't sing with us. So it gave me something to shoot for. But singing continues in my family. At the birthday of my 1-year-old grandson, we all sang happy birthday. It was so beautiful. I couldn't even imagine anything. And everyone just stopped and let the music hang in the air. That's what we came out of, was that kind of singing, that kind of beauty. And the littlest person to be a member of the choir was Leo when he's 4 now, so it started when he was 3. But he mostly just jumps around. But secretly, I hear him singing, I don't feel no ways tired. He's never tired. He's 4. My daughter, Maritha, sings, and her daughters, the one is on hiatus now, to raise my great-grandson, Jordan. I have a great-grandson, and each child has a song. I started by giving a song to my oldest daughter, Maritha. This is her song, blah, blah, blah. Everybody got a song that was born into the family. And so I'm passing the torch along. When the great-grandson was born, Michaela, my granddaughter, did the song for Jordan. It's so beautiful. It's really an oratorio, though. I mean, it's grand. It has a break. You go back. I mean, it's the whole thing. But much better than what we started out with. I'm so proud of her. And it reminds me of a story that I heard about a West African village. Now, I don't know about this truth stuff, but I do know about a good story. And this story comes out of West Africa. When a child is born on a Tuesday, Thursday, whatever their birthday is, he has a song. I never knew anything about this until recently, the story. And he has a song, or she has a song for that particular birthday. And they sing this song at various times, and, through the ages as the person grows into an adult. And if at any point that person becomes deconstructed, depressed, suicidal, the village people all gather around and they sing that song. And they sing what they remembered of the life and how this person was the best at climbing the tree, and how much fun they had with him. And that song brings life again to that person. They become reconstructed because people remember them. They know them and they continue to love them. And that is what a song can do. In our family and in our choir, I say that we also do social justice because of the makeup of the choir and the family. We have LGBTQ plus people in the choir and also in our family. I think that's social justice too. The choir, let me just tell you about a little bit about what the choir does. The choir, now also mostly family to me, sings at the raising of the red, black, and green flag on the Common in Amherst. We do the Juneteenth celebrations. I think maybe some of you have some cases, you've probably been there. At area colleges and universities. We were at Holyoke Community this year and UMass. We had to turn down some other ones because they were too many in a week. We've done fundraising. We've done fundraising for the Jewish community in Northampton and for the building of the Muslim mosque here on Route 9. We've sung at the reading of Frederick Douglass, his 4th of July speech, and we hope to do that again. And at homegoing ceremonies for our beloved activists and friends like Dee Shabazz, Judy Brooks's families, and at the Porter Phelps Museum in honor of Dr. Horace Clarence Boyer, he who introduced gospel music to higher education. He invented that and forged it through. And we honor him because he started gospel choirs in this area. So we honor him and we love him for what his work has done for us. Work has been both a joy and a challenge for me. I'm behind closed doors and behind HIPAA, which means I can't talk about anybody, which works very finely with my forgettable memory these days. It's fine. It's hard to track social justice impact, though, from behind those protective barriers. I mean, how do I know what a person is doing? I mean, they'll tell me. But how I know is I have to figure it out. So people will come in saying, I want to find my inner child. And other people will come in saying, I'm sick of my inner child. I want to find my inner adult. I get that. Some come in as atheists and agnostics, and they leave with a desire for some connection with the sense of the divine. Some come in claiming to be Christians, and they leave as atheists. Who knows? But in assessing the impact, what happens to them after they leave the office is their systems have been somewhat deactivated. If your system is deactivated, activation is simply any one of three factors. the prefrontal cortex where words are, those words can just go around and around. You cannot talk yourself out of anything, a feeling, or whatever. But, we keep trying. And then the amygdala, where the feelings arise. Oh, I was so ashamed of this and that. Right back here in the primary brain stem is what controls the body. So if a certain group of, let's say, thoughts are occurring, you will find that there are certain things that are happening in the body as well. A person says, for example, I have anxiety. So what happens? The breath is shortened. There's tightness in the chest. The hands are getting like this, sweating. These are the signs that tell you that there are some actions occurring in the body. That's our deepest level of, I will say, intervention. So working to kind of deactivate some of those body processes can allow new ideas to come. I've heard people say, you know what? I don't have to do that anymore. I didn't say to them, you don't have to do that anymore. They just said, you know what? I don't have to do that anymore. And I'm really going to work on that one. I'm like, all right. Or, I'm feeling like that, but mostly I'm feeling like it doesn't matter how, what's going on, because this other person is still doing what they're doing, and I have to deal with that in terms of relationship. This thing is asking me to confirm my speaking language. Is it Arabic? I'm going to go with English. Can you all understand me? Yeah, okay. So when a person leaves the office being deactivated, they may be able to think differently or feel differently, or their bodies are more enlivened. If they've been, when you get depressed, everything sort of gets concentrated. You feel heavy, or now they feel enlivened, or whatever. When they go home, they may not present in the same way. Often I hear, well, my husband's still an idiot, but it doesn't bother me as much. Go do whatever you want, because I'm going to read. I'm going to do this. I have so many things that interest me. I'm going to do that, and you do your thing. And so I can see the results in that way by assuming that because there's some deactivation in the system, they can have different thoughts. We are, the CBT alleges that that's their thing, is that if you change your thoughts, the rest of it will change. Well, I don't know. I've tried to change my thoughts a lot of times, but what really shifts me in a deep way is when my whole body, if I swell out my stomach right now, almost instantly, there is a sense of calmness, rest, because I've been doing it so long. You'd have to practice it more. So the only impact I can see from that work is what happens to the people in their outside life, how they then begin to respond to others, so that the table they used to carry, you can't carry a heavy table by yourself. So somebody's on that end, somebody's on this end. But if they're not carrying that table anymore, I'm not interested in, I've got other things to do right now. So do you hating? I'm going over here. This is not talking about abuse. This is talking about just nagging. So if they're not into the nagging anymore, that other person has no choice other than to continue with themselves, which is really hard to do, or do something else. So I can see some changes that way just by thinking about what happens to the person. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Where am I? So maybe this kind of work does advance the causes of social justice. I hope so. My biggest challenge, because I said it's a challenge and a joy. Oh my God. Sometimes with clients, I am laughing hysterically. It's just hysterical, but it's so much fun. But the challenge, my biggest challenge as a therapist was getting training for somatic experiencing. It was a 4-year course that took me 10 years to complete. And part of the reason why was when I went there, I was the only person of any color, Asian, Black, Latino, nothing. And there was, people would sit this, if I sat next to them, they would sit like this for the whole time. It's hard to sit like that for 2 hours while you're listening to someone babble on about what's going on. But they would do that. And we had this big, huge circle. I remember one time in New York, all of these professionals, whatever, in this circle. And the only 2 empty chairs in the place were on this side of me and on that side of me. I will tell you, it was so hard to try to learn in an environment that felt unsafe. It felt unsafe. And yet I had to be open to learning. Honest to God, it took me a year off. So I would go, take a year off, do another year's worth, take a year off. And that was why it took me 10 years to finish it. But I consider it an achievement and a lot of growth on my part. When I would watch people talk and they would talk to a man, because there's only a few men in the lower echelons. Most of the power positions are men. But I would see this, women would go up to a man and say, so what is it like being the only man? And I would go, what? No one ever said that to me in 10 years. But I said to myself, one of the things that helps me is old spirituals renewed. I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy. Don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So, Miss Jackie.
I can't see you all.
Oh, you can't? Oh, well, we're here.
Okay.
So from that lesson of trying to learn things that were going to help you and help other people that you help, but having that resistance, what positive and negative impacts did that have on you? Being in a group and really being basically ignored or treated as if you weren't a person or whatever. How has that influenced how you respond to people in general,
Well, I will tell you one of the best benefits of being the last one chosen, and sometimes when there was an uneven number of people, and I would ask the partner, "Oh no, I got somebody that came from my hometown. Oh, this or that." So I just gave up on that. I'm not searching for anybody. But at the end, I would have to work with the leader. Let me tell you, that was like. That was like, these people charge like $1,000 a session. They do, because they're the rich and the famous. But it was a luxury for me because I got to work with them. I was like, a silver lining. That was kind of nice. What happened was my granddaughter just called me on FaceTime and it blew me off Zoom. So anyway, that was a blessing. I got the best, oh my gosh, teaching and learning in that one-on-one situations from the best of the best. It was worth it. No offense, but we didn't know what we were doing with each other, but they sure knew. And they taught they'd say, okay, now you do it with me. They would do, show a demonstration of how you deal with activation in the system, and they would use my system. And then they would say, okay, now you do it with me, and they would present what their activation was or whatever. It was that was like a blessing for me. It was a gift. So another thing that happened for me was feeling like I have watched the statistics about people of color and Black people specifically, that we die at younger ages, except for the anomalous Black person who lives to be 112. There's always one of those. But we die earlier. We get grave illnesses more quickly. We have disabilities, physical, our bodies just run out of power. And that was my primary, especially Black women having babies. That's a high area of the death rate there is really, really high, outrageously high. And I wanted to help people to be able to deactivate their bodies from having 1,000 paper cuts a day. Be able to breathe deeply, to be able to discharge activation, to be able to use rage as a power source and not to be overwhelmed by it and feel the need to act it out, except for taking care of oneself. So, that was my primary motivator for being in that. And that was a blessing to be able to work that with people who, have not necessarily experienced their bodies telling them something. You're in danger. Look how fast your heart is beating now. You're in danger. Nobody's after you, but emotionally someone is after you. So what do you need right now? Why don't we take some of those tummy breaths? Why don't we do EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing? Why don't I do some cranial sacral therapy? Along the way, I got training in how to touching, healing touch. What do you need when you're feeling like that? Let me just touch your upper arms where you're feeling like you want to hit something. Just touch those. And then they'll notice that the urge kind of moves down, lower into the arms, lower, the lower arms, and then to the fingers. And then we just move those fingers around and kind of discharge. Somebody's which is going to throw me right off.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to stop you here because I'm going to ask people if they would like to ask questions of you, either about your work as a clinician or as a leader, a wonderful leader of that incredible choir. People who have questions, you can either raise the hand from the reactions or you can raise your hand and wave. I can't see everybody because we have such a large crowd that I can't see all of you, but
I can see people.
yes. I don't know, things are not moving or something. I don't know. I can't get to the second because there's about 34 people here. So,
Martha has her hand up.
Who has their hand up?
Martha.
Okay, Martha, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. I mean, every time I hear the gospel choir, I'm so inspired. But that has been the only way I've known you. But I loved what you said about each member of your family being given a song. I think that is so special. I mean, all my life I have loved singing, and every morning I wake up with some song running in my head. Maybe it's one I haven't thought of for 30 years, but every day I have songs running in my head, you know. But my question is, just this past year, I learned about the songs that were sung as instructions for the Underground Railroad, like "Follow the Drinking Gourd" was the "Follow the Big Dipper," and to guide you to the north, and so on, or left foot peg leg, or walking in the water so the dogs couldn't track your scent, and so on. And so I just wondered if the choir has ever sort of had a program of specifically singing some of those songs, because I learned that even "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" was really part of it.
Yes. I don't know where you learned that, but you keep looking, because that's so great to know that people were singing as a way of connecting with each other and communicating in messages. And we try to sing songs that are historical. We go through, pre-music, pre-instrumental music. So those are mostly the spirituals. And then we move into the gospels. And then there's a civil rights era. There's Oh Happy Day, its own signal event, which introduced gospel music to the general population. And then we move on to contemporary music. So we do that. We start out with African songs, because freedom songs, because we give homage to our ancestors. And a lot of the music was retained by the people who had been enslaved because of the rhythms that stayed in the bodies. That has been, and the pentatonic scale, which we know most people who are close to the ground, what they used to call primitive societies, indigenous types, they start out with this pentatonic scale, which is the latest rage in jazz music and what have you, but they kept their pentatonics. And some people suggest that the guy who wrote, it's a white guy, he was a slaver, changed his mind after a while since he saw how brutal it was. He wrote Amazing Grace. It's on the pentatonic scale. So as he was bringing people across, that music was hitting something in him. So we tried to do that, but I mean, there's so many aspects to this music as it goes along historically that we can't spend a lot of time on the spirituals and the call and the response. So it's such a beautiful way of communicating anything, joy and excitement. And there's this one type of call and response where the person says something like this. Takes 5 minutes. And then the congregation says, they sing the same thing. So to sing a whole sentence takes a long time. But, it starts out with that kind of communication. And when you do that, you can feel something in these bones that resonate with your vibrations in your voice. And that communicates this way. Then the choir, the people, they're not a choir, respond by singing in that call and response. I think that's one of the big things. But also there was a purpose, to I don't feel no ways tired. There was a message there, because they people were tired. But the message was, you're on the road, you can't get tired and go back. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. They have a meaning. They have a richness. They touch our bodies. And we need to get back and connected with the breath, the body, the rhythm. Thank you for asking that question, because those spirituals are a foundation for almost all the music that occurred in the United States.
Yeah, I've never heard the Follow the Drinking Gourd sung. You know, but Swing Low, Sweet Chariot has always been one of my favorites, and to learn that the reference to the looked over Jordan was in fact the Ohio River, and that there really were chariots on the other side, groups that would then help transport them to the freedom in Canada, and so now I can sing that song and it has much more meaning. I love it. Yeah.
You're a singer, you wake up singing, so that's a blessing right there. Where did you go to learn this, by the way?
When did I learn about the Underground Railroad and the songs? That was from the Learning and Retirement program. It was one on civil rights, sort of from a historical viewpoint, and one of the people gave their presentation on the Underground Railroad, and including the songs and so on. So
That's right. Old but not done.
yeah.
So I think Andrea is having a few technical issues, but I'm here looking for hands up. Thank you, Martha.
Thanks, Martha.
Does somebody else have a question?
Carly.
Carly, go ahead. And then Karen.
Unmute.
I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Should I go or Carly? Should I go? Okay, I'm unmuted.
Good.
I'm waiting for you to come, Jacqueline,
I'm here.
Roger, and some of your other family members on May 16th. And to the Sojourner Truth statue.
A shameless plug for that.
Well, you are an inspiration, Jacqueline. And there's a song that Horace Boyer taught. I belong to the way million years ago, probably over 50. I belong to the
Voices of New Africa.
Of New Africa House. And there was a song he sang. Maybe you can recall it for us. You are so beautiful to me. Do you remember that, Jackie?
I remember that song. I don't remember Horace's version of it. I remember.
You are so beautiful to me. Starts like that.
Majesty.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what I think of you, Jackie. You are so beautiful to me and to this community. And though you are in a field that is in some way, it's about depression and anxiety, emotional disturbance. It's part of the work that you help people through in your professional work. But you walk in this world and you appear to me and many of the rest of us, you appear and give such love and joy. My question is, what do you attribute your generosity of giving and love to?
I have to agree, because, there's so much joy in the world. And when I say sometimes my clients and we are hilarious in laughing. It's just, people can hear it out in the hallway. I heard you all laughing. And I'm like, you're not supposed to laugh? What? What do I attribute it to? Of course, I attribute it to that my sisters can attest to this. We had very learned, my grandmother, Brenda Tuskegee, and one of the other ones, one of my mean aunts. We had a mean aunt. She went to, she got her master's degree long time ago when it was, I'm sure she had to fight her way through. But we learned from them to have joy. I mean, they would have big feasts and the family would get together and they all would cook and it'd be hot as Hades. But, we had to eat, so we did. And sometimes it was music or whatever. But the joy I learned from these people because they had gotten it from their people and from all along and back and forth. And I think was it Minerva Jane's husband who played the violin? Sisters? Minerva Jane, Karen is saying yes. He played the violin. So there was dancing, there was everything in that family. But I think the ancestors, and when I am a person who has a deep and abiding faith in the brown person from the Middle East who talked of love and of joy and of being present with people, of sharing. And I think all of the ancestors go back to whatever created this jumbo world, because that's about love. The scriptures are talking about things like the trees clap their hands for joy and the mountains sing. It's like the earth is alive, and we are alive. And I don't even know where the joy comes from if it doesn't come from that. I was still recuperating from my cataract surgery, and we had quiet practice last night. And I told my husband, make sure I don't jump around too much in quiet. But I just could not stop myself. He had to say several times, please sit, please sit, please sit. And I would sit minutes, but I couldn't stop myself. We were singing Stand Up from the movie Harriet.
Harriet. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was just such a blast to see people learning these words, to feeling this beat here. Hey, 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 oh, so much beauty and joy. It's the most humbling and exaltation that I experienced in my life. And I wish I could be better at hanging around with the divine. We all have paths to grow, but with such the tiny bits that I have, it's family, it's ancestors, it's the earth itself, how it blooms. Look at this. It's beautiful. We have this beautiful fuchsia bush right outside of our front door. And I walk by it every day. Oh, this buds. Oh. But one day, that baby was like, ching! And I just could not. I had to take pictures of it. And just the earth sings, and I think it dances.
Thank you. So Karen Davis, you had your hand up. Do you still want
Yes.
to ask?
Well, I'm just so moved. I can hardly speak. Thank you. I am. That's my sister, and it's incredible. It's incredible. When I think she's my baby sister, baby sister. Sorry, but I'm so proud. It's amazing.
Oh,
Thank you, and moved, very moved. Her voice alone is enough to make you moved a lot, because I can hear my whole family in her voice. I can hear all of them when she sings. It stirs memories from all of those voices that I heard when I was growing up, and I could hear it in her voice.
oh, preach, child.
And I can't explain how touching. Just hearing her sing is.
Thank you, Karen. We have a question from Chad.
Yes, I like this question Carly asks about emotions, psychotherapy, and singing. And I am white, and I would like if Jackie could speak to singing and emotions during what I call the civil rights era in the 60s and how that joined with whites. I'm a member of her choir, and the singing creates the spirit in me. I can feel it strongly. So anything you can mention about, the cross-cultural white-black and singing during the civil rights era for motivation, perseverance, that sort of thing.
Thanks for that question, Chad. So glad to have you singing bass along with Roger there. One of the stories of the man with the dark complexion over in the Middle East was that he had to learn. He had to learn because a Syro-Phoenician woman came to him and said, "Oh, heal my child, this is happening and this and whatever, and she's horribly sick." And the dark man complexion person said, "Well, you're not in my tribe, so you're like a dog over here to us." So, well, be that as it may, but you just a crumb, you got so much, just a crumb will work magic. It will work. So, bing, person's eyes were open. They were saying, "You have more faith in these people than I came to." They have ignored what? He learned something, how to relate to someone out of his own system. And I have to tell you, I'm still learning that one, Chad. I'm learning that one. It's not an easy one to, be the good Samaritan and take care of the person who's the other, or to be in league with the person who's the other, to connect with the person who's the other. If some of you feel challenged by that, well, welcome to the club. We're all learning. Even this person was learning. And we learn how to do that. In our choir, it's a mixed bag there. It's a mixed bag. We have some Jews, some Gentiles. Don't have any Muslim people. I don't know if that's allowed in their religion to be singing stuff like that. But if there was one, we would take them gladly. The other may be an LGBTQ person. For me, took a long time for me to finally get the message that when the dark complexion person in the Middle East says, "I love everybody," that is exactly right. Learning to love the other, whatever their complexion is, whatever their history is. The League of Women Voters had their time of learning because they stepped away from helping out the Black women. But as I said, we have Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, we got a million, zillion women, Mary McLeod Bethune, we got this. We're not waiting on anybody. And maybe in that place we can connect. Like Judy was a great connector. She could do that with ease. So it's something that this is another learning experience where I have to learn that. How to code switch. You know about code switching, right? Yeah. When you're on the phone and you want to get the night, what you do is you code switch according to the way in which you think you understand it best. Because That's the way to expedite it. When you don't code switch, you're just saying whatever you feel like saying. Good luck interpreting that. But thanks for asking that, and I hope you feel welcome in the choir and deal with the times when you don't. I can help you with that if you want to.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ash, you're up next, and then Roger.
Yeah, okay. I just first thanks so much for being here and sharing this with us. I have to say I just every time I've heard the choir and been with your spirit and so it just you create joy like it just effervescent. It's and coming away from the times of being with that choir is just a high. I just and that's it was Cornel West who said justice is love made public. And I think that's so important that it's not only the laws, it's not only the policy, but it is I've just been asked if I speak Arabic, but no. Um, used to. But it's the bonding that we feel because of the spirit that gets people together. And I can't say how much we're grateful to you for bringing that constantly forth in the public domain and just gratitude. I don't have a question. I just gotta say that. Thank you.
Oh, I love you, Ray.
Okay, Roger, you're up next.
All right. 52 years almost I've been married to this lovely woman. And I just have a couple of things. First of all, when I think about social justice, I think about rivers. And I could say Langston Hughes' poem, but I won't go there. But Jackie hits the source of the river. You know, she talked a little bit about the inner child, but and we focus on oftentimes where the river gets big, but it's the source. And she deals with those things that come from within. And I know that one of the things that she taught me was how to deal and talk to kids about being angry. And I actually visited Fort River. This was after I retired, and there was a child who hadn't spent much time in class because they got so angry. And one of the counselors said, "We think you got something." And Jackie had given me this image of pushing your hands against a wall really hard, one hand, then the other hand, sometimes both hands. And I did it with the child. Now, I'm a layperson in that arena. And it worked. This counselor called me the next day and said, the child spent the whole day in class. Can you come tomorrow and do I said, anybody can do that. And I explained to her what I did and the words. And what I should have done is had Jackie talk. So that's the therapist part. And she would just say, well, try, just do that. And it helps with the anger. And yeah, when she asked me to wash dishes, sometimes I press against the wall. No, just kidding. But the other part of it, in terms of everywhere we go, she has her history ready so that any audience can not only hold on to the beauty of the music, and I'm not bragging about AAGC having, we're tight and we're perfect, but the spirit is there, the history, we understand it in part of our being, and that is carrying her message one place to the other. So sometimes when we sing and stuff, and she'll ask me, well, how'd we do? Because she faces the choir. She doesn't see the audience. I always have to tell her, the audience stood up. And she'll look at me, they did what? I said, yeah, when you hit that and you did that, and in measure 97, everybody got up. And we all go, she said, they did. And so there's the beauty of just getting the work done and the message across that makes it so endearing and fun. And even when she's saying, oh, one more time, we need to tell her, don't say one more time, do it until I'm happy. That's what she needs to say. But she always says one more time. But 52 years, and I'm looking forward to as many more as I can get. That's all. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Roger. Sorry, everybody. I was having interesting trouble. I think Kathleen is next, and then Maritha after her.
Hi.
I was trying to unmute myself.
Oh.
I apologize for being late. I was in 2 other meetings before this one. And you may have addressed this issue before I came in, but just in case, I am curious to learn how you address reparations. I've heard in the conversation since I had joined this meeting, mentions about slavery. And one of the points of reparations has to do with the period of enslavement that many Black people experienced as and the resulting historical events that have continued to harm. And so I'm wondering if you addressed that when you started talking or earlier, and if not, I know that many of you have been invited to the statewide convening on reparations that we've been having over the last 3 years. And so I'm just wondering about your thinking about that, about reparations and how to address that, how we can address that in music. The other thing is the brown skin Middle Easterner. Is that Jesus you were talking about? Yes. Yes, I thought so. Many people don't know that he was a brown skin, a brown skin Middle Easterner.
2,000 years ago, come on. They were all brown. That's it. Oh, I love your questions. And if you had not come late as you are, I would never have even thought of that, Kathleen. That's why it's so important to have your voice out there. So thank you. And so I'm going to be off the cuff, of course. I can speak about my daughter who's has an organization. Some of you may have heard of it. My daughter, Adrian, who has an organization called 80 Acres. Not 40 acres, but 80 acres. So I think I love the way I love that name. But I really do believe and another person who has helped me with this has been Carly Todakar, because I was saying, well, we would, for the Frederick Douglass this year, I was like, well, we'll contribute the choir will contribute some money or some whatever. And she was like, absolutely not. You're going to get paid. You know, her sense of helping me to figure out that the organization that we spend a lot of money on lots of things. Getting music copied is really big expense. We used to have to rent a space, but now Hope Congregational Church has offered us a space to practice there. I'm so grateful for that. But I really think that we need to up our game in terms of reparations. The choir does. We get paid almost all the time. And I've not really cared whether we got paid or not. If it was a significant enough event in my heart, we did it anyway. Because that's the way I have seen my own ancestors and all others. It's like, if you need something, you do it for yourself. And, you know, it may be time to feel that out a little bit more. So I appreciate your bringing that up, but I need to know when you probably sent me when the convocation around reparations is going to be this year, right? Okay, I'm gonna try to make it because I can learn stuff.
Thank you, Kathleen. Maritha?
Actually, just one more thing. The statewide convening already happened. It was April 10th.
Oh.
Yeah. So the next one will probably be I don't think there will be one before 2025.
You have a video of that, let me know.
Yeah, I think there was one that was recorded. I think it was recorded.
Thank you.
Okay, I lost Maritha. When, wait.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So that's my mom. And I have to tell you, I saw my sister on here and I saw my daughter on here and my two aunts were on there. And one of the things that has been so important to me is how my mom has taught me about the importance of singing as a family and what that means in our particular family. And I do remember particularly singing Handel's Messiah with my grandmother, my mom's mom, and she was like, Maritha, you are learning this alto part because we do not have altos. Okay, so that was a wonderful thing. So I learned the alto part. We sang the Hallelujah chorus as a family. Just to show you how important that is, I was a great alto. I love singing alto. Alto is a great part. My mother said, and I quote, "We don't have any tenors. You're singing tenor." I was like, okay. So I am singing tenor, but in that, because I do also sing in the choir, showed me how important it is that the family is a part of this. So whenever we go together, my daughters, my sons, my dad, my mom, my sister, we can go and sing. We can just show up and mom will say, she'll open her computer and say, well, we're going to sing right now. And which means get ready because we all know our parts respectively. But it's such a blessing when you feel like hopeless and you come to choir practice and the spirit of the ancestors and the spirit of being in a place where the ancestors have trod, where the music is about, standing up and walking and being strong. And even if you're weak in this moment, you can still stand up. And so I find those times rooting and knowing that that my ancestors, my family, one year we did a Christmas concert and I happened to be directing at that time. And I looked up and in the choir, I think we must have 40 or 50 people at that time. And in the choir were my two sons, my two daughters, my mom, my dad, and my sister. And it couldn't have gotten any better than that because we were carrying around the 8 generations that came before us. And I hope that when my kids are older, and although they do have the same thing I do, I don't want to go and sing today, that they too can carry around what an amazing gift that is that mom brings to not only the people in the choir, the people that we're singing to, but it is a constant reminder to me as her daughter that the load that we carry or the songs that we are singing have purpose, can give us strength. And that to me it means so much. So thanks, Mom. Okay, I'm done now.
I appreciate that so much, Maritha.
It's so true. I believe you. I believe you because it gives us so much as people listening. Whenever I know it's the choir coming, I get excited. So, Gary Tartikoff.
I want to thank you, Jackie, for 2 things. The first is something we've all experienced. We're sitting in a room. Once in a while in the evening, I'll go out to an event or a meeting or something. This happens once in a while. And I'll be sitting in a room waiting for something to happen. And all of a sudden, this South African freedom song comes up and people start marching in from the back of the room with that song. And everybody in the room is just raised up. So that's That's a wonderful thing we have locally. It's the whole group of you. The other is more specific and personal and really fits tonight. You remind me of one thing. You've given me one thing that I got from Judy Brooks. You reach out and pick somebody up. You really do. You make me feel like I'm welcome somewhere. I think you do that to everybody. And I do remember that in Judy, and I love it in you. Thank you.
Thanks, dear.
That's so true. It's so true. Oh, Miss Pat Onabaku, you have a,
Hi, everyone. Can people hear me?
Yep.
I'll be very brief. I want to echo what everybody else have said tonight, and I just want to thank Mrs. Wallace for sharing tonight. I like the way you presented tonight. Variety, really joy to listen to you sing. I really appreciate your leadership in this town. You are a role model, and it speaks a lot about how you have relationships with people. You're very positive. You make people really feel welcome. You always have positive things to say about people. In terms of the choir, I think I see your group as a unifier. Sometimes people will attend event if they hear that your group will be singing, and that speaks a lot. I hope you'll think that way in terms of social justice, because our town really need unity. And one of the ways is what, the joy that your group spread everywhere. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Pat. And I would sing just for you. You talk about
And thank you for singing. And thank you for singing at Dr. D. Shabazi's event. Thank you.
So
I know she was very happy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for cooking.
My pleasure.
okay. Does anyone else have a question or a statement or anything that they want to provide? Because this woman is so phenomenal, and we're so happy. We're so sad that you were sick, but this has worked out, and Mary is here too. Hi, Mary. And just we couldn't wait for this because you just have so much joy. I know I'd feel comfortable if I had to go see you clinically. Somehow I just know that spirit is just there in everything you do, and I appreciate it. I mean, Roger knows how I feel about him. I've been very much part of the Roger Wallace award given to elementary school teachers, and because it's the students he had that could help to create this from the beginning. And that's really says a lot about a teacher. And so it's the two of you, and with your children and all they do, it's admirable. And I'm just so proud to be in this room, in this place with you, and appreciate how you presented. It was done beautifully, just like you are. And you are so much appreciated. So if I want to ask also, I'm gonna make a plug for the League of Women Voters. We'd like you to join us. If you haven't, you can do it online. League of Women Voters, you tell them you want to be part of the Amherst group. I'm part of the steering committee, as is Rebecca, who's a little sick today, so she doesn't want to be on. And there are a few of us. Martha is part of Martha Hannah, who was talking. She's part of the Racial Justice Committee. We have quite a few people who are very active, and we're getting a young Black male who's going to be part of the steering committee, Milan Carter, so Clark rather, and so we're very excited about that. And so we're hoping to go into it. So please, we need people. We need to convince people not just to vote, but to know what they're doing. To vote is one thing, but to know what you're doing and then vote, and get other people to vote, and get your families to vote. So we're really pushing for that. That's one thing. The other thing is, at the end, when you leave, don't leave completely. There's a survey. we'd appreciate it if you would fill the survey out. It only takes about 2 or 3 minutes about how you felt about this today. Because we keep the records and we send it to the state and national, and they love to see that we're doing what things we're doing. And we really need to make sure that they know that we're doing things about racial justice, that we have so many people in this community that are involved. And so many of you that are on this are also involved in so many things that we do. So please do fill out the survey. And oh, I'm sorry.
Another hand.
There's a hand. I'm sorry. Dana?
Yes,
Marna?
no, I was waiting for you to finish. Before we all go, I just wanted to confirm the date that you will be singing at the Sojourner Truth statue. Is it May 16 or 26? I wrote down both.
Oh, tell us.
Carly?
May, it's the Memorial Day weekend. I wish it were the 16th. I'd be.
Unmute, Carly.
May 16 or 26?
No, it's May 26th.
May
Sunday.
26th.
Thank you.
And
Thank
it starts at 2:00.
Yep, got to. Thank
So
you very much.
Come on.
It's a wonderful,
We have a good.
the children who have applied for the Sojourner Truth Award are truly children who have done work, or they're just getting out of high school.
Absolutely.
Future. And that's why I'm so sad. I mean, I'm going to be on vacation, unfortunately. Fortunately for me, but unfortunately, I just realized it's in that same era, and it'll be the first one I've missed in a while. So the speeches alone, and Jackie and her, it's just a wonderful event. It really is. So absolutely.
Because I'm prohibited from driving, I would appreciate it if someone would offer to give me a ride on that day.
Someone will.
Yes, thank you.
It sounds like Gary, but we.
I died a couple years ago while I was driving my car.
I know.
And so now I'm prohibited from driving.
You'll have to be ready early because we have to get across before the marches start for Memorial
so are you
Day.
saying 6 o'clock in the morning or
No.
8 o'clock in the morning?
We'll be in contact.
But I have to be over there really early, but Gary can work it out with you.
Thank you,
Kathleen.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, is Mary Custer still here? Because they're having an event on, and I know the event because I'll be on a plane on the 21st of May at the high school about the children or the scholars who went to Senegal and Gambia. And oh my gosh, I just hope we can maybe reproduce it or have them come and visit us on the Racial Justice Committee to talk about their trip. So, but it's happening at the high school on May 21st. That's next Tuesday. I think it starts at 7. You know, you can. Yeah.
It's at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria. And while you're there, you can also just march over to the library and let the school committee know that they need to pass a budget that keeps all our people in the building.
Right.
Nice.
Absolutely. I have very much been vocal about. Yes, that is very important. But I just wanted to let you all know that's going to be some of you. I'll be on a plane thinking about it, but hopefully we'll be able to see it, and maybe we can get some of those young people to come and talk to us, and we'll give you a night where you just talk about your experiences, because I'm sure they're wonderful, and you all really are just doing great work, and we deserve to have good schools with good people who are actually work and do the things that make our children shine as they go into the world. So,
so if the League of Women Voters Racial Justice Committee would be able to or would be willing to, there's a reparations bill right now before the state of Massachusetts. It's on the Judiciary Committee. And so we're asking people to write to the Judiciary Committee or go to Boston in person to ask for a favorable outputting of the bill so that the bill passes the House.
It's in the Judiciary Committee. Okay.
I'll send the information to all the people I have emails for. And so hopefully
Yes,
people will take the initiative to write.
Mhm. Okay, if anybody else has questions, thank you. Oh, Ms. Pat.
I just have a quick announcement. Black Business Association of Amherst area will be hosting a Juneteenth on June 19th at Mill River from 2 p.m. till 6. And we're collaborating with several organizations. There will be free food, music, lots of fun.
Okay, June 19th, can't forget that date.
Yeah.
I'll be back. Okay, all right. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you. Don't forget to do the survey before you leave, because you'll
Okay.
as you go to leave. And thank you all for coming. This was a wonderful turnout for an incredible woman and a family that we love dearly in this community. So thank you, and thank you, Jacqueline Wallace. We really appreciate you so much.